Mimstar Sleeptime, a calm, factual deep dive into recent Candace Owens commentary and the questions raised around conservative media power. Good evening. You are listening to Mr. Sleeptime. This is a calm account intended for rest. There is nothing here you need to solve. There is nothing you need to decide. This narration moves slowly, evenly, and without urgency. Tonight's account is a long-form summary of recent public commentary by Candace Owens and the broader discussion it has prompted around conservative media structures, influence, and control. It also references public reactions involving Charlie Kirk, as his name appears within that discussion. What follows is not an accusation. It is not an endorsement. It is a structured restatement of what has been said publicly and why some listeners describe it as investigative in tone. Background: Candace Owens' position in media. Candace Owens is a political commentator who rose to prominence through online platforms. She is known for long-form monologues, cultural critique, and direct language. Over time, Owens has worked with and separated from several conservative media organizations. Her recent content has increasingly focused on internal dynamics rather than external political opponents. This shift is important. It changes the tone of her commentary from persuasion to examination. The nature of the recent episodes. In her most recent series of episodes, Owens does not present a single claim. Instead, she presents a pattern. She speaks slowly. She revisits timelines. She references past statements by institutions and individuals. The tone resembles an inquiry rather than a broadcast. Listeners are encouraged to notice who is allowed to speak, which topics are discouraged, how funding, donors, and influence are discussed. What happens when disagreement occurs internally? Owens does not frame this as a scandal. She frames it as an observation. Why some call it an investigation. Owens uses language associated with analysis rather than outrage. She pauses. She restates. She cross-references earlier events. This creates the feeling of an investigation without formally naming one. She repeatedly emphasizes, she is speaking from personal experience. She is not alleging crimes. She is describing power dynamics. This distinction matters. The Charlie Kirk connection. Charlie Kirk appears in this discussion not as a subject of wrongdoing, but as a symbol of institutional leadership. Kirk is the founder of Turning Point USA. He represents a structured, donor-backed, large-scale conservative organization. Owens references Kirk primarily in relation to organizational discipline, messaging boundaries, institutional loyalty. She does not accuse him of illegal activity. She questions the system he operates within. The central question being raised. Owens's underlying question is simple, though it is repeated many times. Who controls conservative discourse once it becomes institutionalized? She suggests that financial dependence shapes acceptable viewpoints. Media access is conditional. Certain topics become quietly restricted. These are not claims unique to conservative media. They mirror discussions that have occurred in other ideological spaces. Patterns in media. Ecosystems. Large media organizations require funding. Funding introduces accountability to donors. Donors introduce preferences. Owen suggests that this process gradually narrows acceptable speech, not through censorship, through incentives. She describes invitations being withdrawn, relationships cooling, access changing quietly. None of this is illegal. None of it requires conspiracy. It requires only structure. Why the commentary resonates. Listeners respond strongly to Owens' recent episodes because they feel familiar. Many people have experienced workplace boundaries that are never written, topics that cause discomfort, consequences that are never officially stated. Owens' commentary names this dynamic explicitly. Naming something often feels like exposure, even when nothing secret is revealed. Public response. The response has been divided. Some listeners describe Owens as courageous. Others describe her as divisive. Some argue she is airing internal disagreements publicly. Others argue that transparency requires discomfort. Importantly, no legal actions have followed. No formal investigations exist. No verified evidence of crimes has been produced. The debate remains interpretive, and the role of silence one element. Owens highlights repeatedly is silence, not rebuttal, not denial. Silence. She notes that institutions rarely respond directly. Statements are general rather than specific. Distance replaces dialogue. Silence is not proof, but it invites speculation. Why this feels like a conspiracy to some conspiracy does not require falsehood. It requires perceived hidden coordination. Owens does not allege secret meetings. She alleges aligned incentives. Aligned incentives can look coordinated without being planned. This is why some listeners describe her work as conspiratorial, even when it is grounded in observable behavior. Repeating the ground truth to be clear and calm. No crimes have been alleged. No investigations are active. No verified wrongdoing has been proven. What exists is a dispute over influence, boundaries, and narrative control. This is a structural discussion, not a criminal one. Gentle restatement. Candace Owens has released episodes questioning power dynamics in conservative media. Charlie Kirk appears as a representative figure within that ecosystem. The discussion focuses on influence, funding, and acceptable discourse. There are no formal allegations. There are no confirmed conspiracies. There are only questions about structure. Closing cadence structures exist quietly. Incentives operate without announcement. Institutions shape speech without commands. These patterns are not new. They are not unique. You do not need to resolve them. You do not need to judge them. You may allow these ideas to fade. The systems continue regardless of attention. This narration ends without conclusion. You are listening to Mr. Sleeptime.